Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace, and speaking with me now in the lead up to EBAday 2021 is Daniel Szmukler, Director for the Euro Banking Association. So Daniel, it's great to have you on. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good to be here, Hannah.
Great to have you on. So things are really heating up as we prepare for this year's event. So I wanted to take this opportunity to touch base with you and look behind the scenes. So can you start by walking us through the thinking behind the event, EBAday 2021, and unveiling the show curtain, as it were? Let's start there.
Yes, so this year's overall theme very much still builds on last year's conference. It's payments transformation, and that's not a big bang. So we are on the road to success here, and therefore we have retained a number of topics that we have addressed already last year at EBAday, but we've decided to take a slightly different angle to some of these topics. For example, instant payments, request to pay, open banking. These are topics that are, you could say by now, the bread and butter business of many of our banks. But we decided to actually move a bit away from the retail sector and to put our lens on the corporates and the corporate value proposition with regard to instant payments, request to pay, etc. So that I would say is what is still common or the common base with last year's EBAday.
All right, so a few different angles there. So could you lift the lid on what we can expect with regards to new topics on this year's diverse agenda? What can the European payments industry really sink their teeth into this year?
Well, definitely new is the accelerated digitalization of cash management. It is everything around payments as a service and banking as a service. So what can banks do to create really an app store for corporate banking? There's quite a lot also on digital identity. So basically, how can we have a digital ID scheme, and what will be the driving force behind that? And also, we are taking a strong and fresh look at changes in the regulatory environment.
And following our discussion, we'll be releasing a lot of videos from some of our sponsors. They will be going into those topics in more detail. And talking of the sponsors, what are you hoping they're going to take away from the event, as well as the delegates? So what will be the lessons learned?
Well, when we discussed with our sponsors the overall tone and the overall theme of this year's event, which very much builds on as I said, on last year, so it's still payments transformation, and what really are the building blocks to success. And the feedback we got there is most of our sponsor banks really believe that we remain in a very fast-moving, crowded global business that is characterized by unclear outcomes with regard to the competitive forces. So banks need to remain quite nimble. They need to innovate in a sustainable way. They need to find the right trade-off between scarcity of CapEx resources and the proliferation of technologies and initiatives, right? They need to improve the operational efficiency to counterbalance the continuing pressures on margins. And also they need to evolve with regard to partnership models, industry collaboration, with regard to value-added services they offer, and with regard to their operating model. So basically evolving from the traditional operating model that has been in place for many, many years in the banks to something that is much closer to what we call a digital operating model, where, so say, full advantage is being taken by the digital channels that banks have at their disposal, by the technologies like platforms, APIs, etc., and of course cloud and artificial intelligence. And so all of that in a way is part of that road to success in the payments transformation agenda of many of our banks.
So there's going to be some good advice weaved in there as well, a lot to look forward to. Daniel, thank you so much for calling in, and looking forward to catching up during the event. So see you then.
Thank you.